Let's take a look beyond Massachusetts at the race at large. On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton is projected to have a very good night, but regardless, are Hillary supporters ready to transfer their affections to Bernie if need be, and are those feeling the burn willing to do the same? We decided to ask around.
I'll vote for whichever Democratic nominee, gets the nomination.
I like the candidate that I'm voting for to win, but the second choice would be Hillary.
Yes, I'm a Democrat.
Oh, yes, definitely.
I would feel uncomfortable, but I would probably do that instead of voting for Trump.
Joining me to talk more about this conundrum and others are Andrea Cabral, Democrat, former Public Safety Secretary in Massachusetts, Suffolk County Sheriff, and Hillary Clinton supporter. Nice to see you, Andrea. Phil Johnson is the former chair of the Massachusetts Democratic Party. He's now president and CEO of the consulting firm Johnson Associates. He worked for Bill Clinton, but he's backing Bernie Sanders. Hey there, Phil. And Jennifer Nassour, former chair of the Mass Republican Party, now founder and president of Conservative Women for a Better Future, backing nobody. At least that's what she tells us. You backing? Do you vote today?
I am voting as soon as I walk out
of here. Who are you voting for?
I'm not telling you.
Okay, fine. Let's start with the Democrats.
Anyone but Trump or Cruz.
Okay, we're going to get to Trump in a couple of minutes. I want to talk about worrying with all three of you for a minute. Even though all those Democratic voters says, no problem, I'll switch to the other side. It's anecdotal, as that was. I've spoken to a lot of people, particularly Bernie Sanders supporters, particularly young Bernie Sanders supporters say, I don't know if I can do that. You told us today you'd happily go to Hillary Clinton if your guy didn't win. Do you think Sanders supporters feel the same way?
I think Hillary and the Clinton campaign would have a lot to do with it if she becomes a nominee. Mm-hmm. And I think there are a couple of groups that she needs to target. One is younger people, and make sure not only that they are for her, but that they actually show up and vote in large numbers. And also union members, because union members seem to be straying from not only
to Trump as well as to Sanders.
Yeah. So I think we have some organizing work to do within the Democratic Party over the next 6 months.
Do you worry about the transference or transferal at all? Should this not go your way?
You mean from Clinton supporters to Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, would they say, I can live with this guy?
I think what you just saw in the piece that you showed is absolutely representative of how Clinton supporters would respond without necessarily asking anything of Bernie Sanders to get their vote. It's about being a Democrat, and it's about knowing that there's something fairly apocryphal on the other side.
Let's talk about the apocryphal thing. I think you actually agree, even though you're a Republican. You're not worried about transfer. You're worried about Donald Trump. He's going to crush it tonight, apparently, in Massachusetts. Some are saying he may win everything, maybe not Texas, but everything. What's going on, Jennifer Nassour?
Well, that's to my dismay, and I can't understand, because I was telling these guys earlier in the green room that I emailed 100 friends last night and saying, anyone but Trump or Cruz, which Cruz isn't, everyone saying, amen, I hear you, sister, I'm out there, I'm doing this, I'm telling everyone I know.
100 out of 100?
100 out of 100.
Remember Bill Weld?
Yes.
Remember Governor Christie?
Yes.
Remember Bob Dole?
Yes.
Let's hear what all three of them have to say.
Please.
Here they are. That's a fair statement,
I think
yes?
the Donald Trump of late February is a lot better than the Donald Trump of 3 months ago.
Good enough that if Kasich is not the nominee that you could support Donald Trump?
I'm not sure what I would do in that event.
But it's possible.
It's possible. But
I'm Chris Christie, and I'm proud to say that I endorse Donald Trump for the next president of the United States.
If it comes down to Cruz and Trump, I'm a big Trump supporter.
Wow. I want the camera on me. I'm going to do my Jennifer Nassour imitation during that. This is what you did. The reality is the bulk of the Republican establishment, with the exception of you and some others, are saying, maybe they're swallowing hard, they're saying this appears to be the guy.
So here's what I'm going to say, is that the electorate is made up of more than just old white men. The electorate is made up of women, it's made up of minorities, it's made up of millennials, it's made up of lots of different people. And if you give them the choice of Donald Trump or Ted Cruz, well, sure, Donald Trump might be the guy. But if you give them a choice of a John Kasich or a Marco Rubio or a Donald Trump, I think that there's a lot more there. Trump also needs to get through the convention, and I don't think that he can get through the convention, because I do
think if he has the most votes, the Republican elders are going to take away the nomination from the guy who comes in with the most votes, even if he hasn't reached the threshold?
At the end of the day, Jim, you know, I know, these guys know, that the end of politics is who gets to win. And if it's Donald Trump who wins, I think that there's going to be a lot of people who say, can he beat a Hillary Clinton or a Bernie Sanders?
Well, we're going to talk about that in just a second. I want to talk about another interesting character who all three of you know. What's up with Mitt Romney? Mitt Romney came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, he's tweeting that the taxes, there may be a bombshell in Trump. Then he said he disqualified himself for those KKK things. What is Mitt trying to be? Just a good Republican? Or is he angling for something?
He's obviously part of the deal to try to derail Trump, and he's...
For himself?
No, I don't think for himself. It's too late. It's sort of, when you look back a year ago, maybe he made a mistake in not running.
Well, actually, let me, when she talked about the convention a minute ago, we were talking to John King from CNN today. He said if the elders of the party, the establishment, try to deny Trump the nomination at the convention, if we get there, it can't be for one of the other candidates. It's got to be for somebody who's not running. Enter Mitt Romney?
I don't think that either party could do that.
What do you think about that whole thing?
I don't think that he's necessarily doing it for himself.
What's he doing it for?
Well, I think that if there were a benefit to him that was a byproduct of speaking out, I think it matters to him what the Republican Party stands for. I think that's genuine. I would never vote for him as a Democrat, but I think that part is genuine. There may be a byproduct of this is that he gets a second bite at the apple, but I don't think that's his primary motivation.
Well, maybe a third. By the way, Salon.com says, what, Dan Quayle's unavailable? One last thing about the convention for a second. Donald Trump was taken to task by the leadership of your party saying, are you going to pledge to support the nominee? He finally says yes, and then all of you people say, well, we got you to do it. We're not going to pledge to support the nominee. Isn't what's good for the goose good for the you-know-who?
Listen, I don't know if I could ever support Donald Trump. I think that he's been offensive to women, he's been offensive to minorities, and he's just offensive. I want to go back to Mitt Romney.
We want you.
Going back to Mitt Romney for a second,
Yeah, sure.
I want to say that Mitt is one of the party elders. He wants the best for the country. He wants the best for the Republican Party, but most of all for the country. And he is going out there trying to save our party from making a massive mistake.
Can Donald Trump win the presidency?
I don't think so.
Can Donald Trump win the presidency?
Yes.
How about you?
No, I won't be able to live another second if I allow myself to
I
believe
know you don't
that that's
want to.
possible.
Oh, so you don't believe. Do you know who Ted Danson is?
Yes.
Do you know who he supports?
Yes.
Who?
Hillary Clinton,
He was
as
on
does
the
Mary
radio-
Steenburgen.
He was on the radio with us today, and I asked him the very same question. Do you think Donald Trump could actually win this thing? Listen to what Danson had to say.
Oh, no, without doubt he does. Okay. Without doubt. And really, that does terrify me. I know from the work that I do with oceans around the world that people are looking at us like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Is this really who America is?
You know, Andrew Cabral, I'm sorry, what are you saying, Phil?
No, he's right. I mean,
Months ago, most every Democrat was laughing when they said, let Donald Trump be the nominee of the Republican Party. I don't hear that much laughing. I hear people like him and Ted Danson saying, this guy has cornered a piece of the electorate. And by the way, the so-called Trump ceiling is getting higher and higher. He's 49% in today's CNN poll.
The reason people are horrified is because, and I have to say, it's been a sort of a confederacy of dunces and a conspiracy of silence.
Confederacy, very good there. Dunces, very
Yes,
nice.
literally and figuratively. But they don't challenge him. I watched Chuck Todd interview Eric Trump yesterday,
Donald Trump.
and allow Eric Trump, his son, and
Oh,
allow him to characterize all of Trump's attacks as counterpunches, as self-defense. And the fact is that they all should have come out when he called undocumented Mexicans rapists and murderers. Everyone should have condemned him then. Nobody did that. They let it go and let it go and let it go. And, you know, after a while, Frankenstein's monster turns to the townsfolk
Well,
and said,
Jake Tapper cornered him on the KKK this weekend.
didn't corner him, though. Just said, well, I was just kind of talking about the...
He asked
should
him
have said-
3 times.
He asked him 3 times, and he should have pressed him even further because they let him go at some point.
Can I talk about your side for a couple of seconds? It's apparently, at least if pollsters are right, not going to be a wonderful night for your guy. And I wouldn't have even said that. We're not 30 minutes before the polls close. But I think that's the conventional wisdom. Maybe Vermont, clearly, maybe Massachusetts, even though it's close, maybe a few other states where there are a decent number of white Democrats voting. What does he do? He raised $40 million in February. What kind of reality is there for him come tomorrow morning?
I think that he's run an extraordinary campaign coming
clearly
from
has,
where he
from
came
nowhere.
from. And I think that he's had a profound impact on the race and a profound impact on the Democratic Party. And I think that if things don't go so well tonight, he's going to stay in through Philadelphia. And the Sanders people are going to insist that certain elements in the platform that reflect his positions. And I don't think there's a lot of daylight between Hillary and Bernie at the end end of the day. And I think we're going to be one big happy family coming out of Philadelphia, and we're going to beat Trump in November.
15 seconds. Why is Elizabeth Warren staying out of this race? Quickly.
I think there's a role for Elizabeth Warren to play at a later time, and I think she'll play it, and I think she'll play it to
All
great
the other
aplomb.
women senators have picked a candidate. Quickly.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think she is moving the needle in the United States Senate. That's her role.
Andrea Cabral, you are for Hillary Clinton.
I
We know that.
certainly am.
Phil Johnson, you are for Bernie Sanders, and you, who knows?
Anyone but Trump.
Nice to see you.